Hi guys, Sunday the 6th of September 2020. It's quite a nice spring day here in Melbourne. We're still in stage 4 lockdown because of coronavirus, and we should find out in about 45 minutes or so what the next 3 or 4 weeks are going to look like. It's certainly been an interesting experience, spending so much time at home. It's been good in a way because, your environment's very much under your control. So, around eating and exercise, there's restrictions you've got to work within, but, you haven't got, your work commitments feel very different. And, I think there's a lot of lessons that people are going to learn, and me in particular, that I can, take back into when we start getting back into the office and working, to a bit more of the structure to which we're used to. It'll be different, but I'm certainly taking some good learnings from it, and that's all we can really do, because it's, other than that, it's a pretty shit situation, economically, socially, particularly for, the kids. They're doing it really tough. So the numbers for the last fortnight, so last time we spoke, it's 128.5 kilos. It's now 127.4, so tick over a kilo in the last 2 weeks. The previous week, hardly lost any weight at all, and even up until, probably yesterday, I was just being really stubborn, it's interesting, my weight actually went back up to 129.7, I think, earlier this week. And, it's really interesting mindset wise, when that happens. Like I've been watching it enough and keeping an eye on the numbers enough to know that that's what happens. I'll drop a bit of weight, and then my weight will creep up for 3 or 4 days, sometimes, like a whole nother kilo. And then it'll drop for 2-3 days, and, a bigger drop, and then go back up for 3 or 4 days and drop again. So, look, I'm really not sure what the best thing is mentally around that. I oscillate between, weigh yourself every day so you can see the pattern and see what's happening. And then, I just go, oh, well, why deal with the trauma, we'll call it, anguish of seeing that weight go up, when you can just weigh yourself once a week and, capitalize on the, not having to see it drift up. But, what if you weigh yourself on the day where you're at the top of the peak and down? Like if Friday was my weight, I was over a kilo over what I was last week, and then my body just said, oh, I'll dump it. So today was the day where I, dropped nearly a kilo. And I might go back up to, 128 something tomorrow, because that's just where my cycle is. And if you miss the low day, you have to deal with it. Oh fuck! I haven't lost any weight for the whole week. So it's interesting. I'd be really interested to know what other people find, or just not weighing yourself at all. Maybe weighing yourself once a month. But I find it hard to keep track and make the micro adjustments, because that weekly pattern I get. That day-to-day sort of cycling, that's just something that's happening metabolically. When you look at a week or 2 weeks of data, I think that's important, because, if you go a whole week and you don't actually see that pattern, or that pattern's flattened out and you don't actually lose the weight, you do have to look at it. So I only lost a couple of 100 grams last week. I lost, 700 or 800 grams this week. What was different? And I think I was definitely eating too much last week. like dinner was too big, and I think I'm eating too much protein. Like I've stuck to, we'll call it a ketogenic or a high fat, low carb. But the other thing in that keto diet is it's actually high fat, moderate protein, low carb, and it's really easy to eat too much protein. If you're having like a steak or a pork chop or something like that. Now, yes, you're probably eating enough fat, but you're eating a lot of protein with that. Your body, ultimately through gluconeogenesis actually turns that into glycogen. So, I just thought I had to dial back the amount that I was eating. And so I did, and I've done that in a couple of ways. I'm trying to push out my, fasting period, I guess, and certainly get to about midday, no problem. I've no craving for breakfast anymore, but I'm trying to push that out until 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then have an early dinner. So really eat one day a week, and it's pretty hard to overeat if you eat one meal a day, not eat one day a week. So I'm trying to push that out, have maybe a 2 or 3 hour feeding window, and see how that goes. And based on this week, it's been good. I shall try to do it for another week and see if I continue to have the result. And that might be the key. Certainly, if I am in ketosis, it's not a difficult thing. It's purely a psychological and habit-driven desire to eat around lunchtime, not a physiological need. I don't feel hungry. I'm not starving. So that's something to watch, and I'll just keep trying to push that window. Training wise, I've been pretty consistent. I had one day off. The day just got away, and I didn't end up doing it during the day, and I couldn't be stuffed doing it at night. But generally pretty consistent. A bit more running, bit of cycling. Still can't get to the pool to swim because there's no pools open. Quite looking forward to doing another fitness test on the bike today. It's been sort of 6 weeks since I did the last one. So on my indoor trainer, I do use the Sufferfest app, and they've got a pretty good test. I've been pretty consistent over the last 6 weeks. Done some good workouts, so I'll be interested to see if I can, if my FTP's gone up at all. Running's getting better. Like my knee pain's has gone completely, so that's good. It's interesting now because I actually feel like I can run slower. Before I was either going to walk or shuffle. But now I find myself running and saying I don't need to run this fast. I can actually run slower. So that's an interesting thing. So running now isn't going from a walk to a trot, isn't it? I can actually run and then run slower. I know that might not mean much to the more athletic types, but it's certainly a meaningful place for me. I'm probably I'm generally running a little bit quicker, and I can find myself, knocking out a, 5:30, 5:40 pace, and I'm sort of comfortable around about 6 minutes a kilometre at the moment. Which actually isn't bad for me. So I've changed up a few things around my running, trying to be more of a 4-foot striker and get the impact, further back under my hips and cycle a bit faster. So if I'm running 6 minute kilometres at 128 kilos, it sort of makes me pretty excited to see what I can be doing when I've lost another 40 kilos. I think I could really motor. What else? I actually got out yesterday on the road on the bike, which has been a bit of a challenge for me. I mean, I haven't wanted to do it. I live in quite a hilly suburb. And so when you're very overweight and you've really got no juice in the legs, no one likes to get off and walk up hills or be absolutely wring out just getting out of your driveway. So I haven't been out, but a mate of mine who is just getting into cycling rang up and asked if I wanted to go for a spin. So yeah, went and did a sort of 11k loop, which did have quite a decent climb in it, which I got around. It was hard work, but it was good to actually get out. To get back to that feeling of actually having the wind in your hair, and it feels very different on the road than it does on the trainer. That's for sure. I have really lost my nerve for riding on the road. Cars scare the shit out of me. Where with the lockdown, there's very little traffic on the road, so that was good. But fuck, bike handling, the train wreck, constantly felt like I was going to end up in the gutter. I think it got a bit better as the ride went on, so I think that'll come back quickly. Couple of descents, doing 65, 70k an hour, absolutely shat myself. So yeah, certainly a way to go. Remembering what it used to be like when I was, doing 400 or 500k a week. You wouldn't think twice about, riding, lane splitting, doing all sorts of shit that you shouldn't do on a bike. But it was good to get out, and I'll do it again. I've now found quite a good, I said 11k loop, which I can see myself doing 2 or 3 times and getting a really good blowout. So that's probably it for today. All good. I'm happy with how I'm progressing. It's sustainable. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling healthy. I've got no niggles. So consistency. Just keep going. Talk to you in another couple of weeks, and hopefully the next 2 are as good as the last 2. Cheers, guys.